Pioneer fans, Pioneer men's varsity lacrosse is live and on the air. We're live high atop a hallway field where it is your Pioneer men's varsity lacrosse team taking on the Saline Hornets. And taking a look at the schedules for these two teams, Pioneer has a nice win streak going as they have won 4 in a row. That takes their record to 6-2, having beat Skyline to begin the season 12, and that was a 12-0 win back on the 8th. On the 9th, they lost to South Lyon by 2 goals, 8-6. Beat Huron away, that on the 13th, it's 17-2. Lost to Dexter, 9-7. On the 17th, on the 20th, beat Temperance Bedford 20-6. Beat Father Gabriel Rochard 15-9. Back on the 23rd, on the 24th, big win versus Skyline 20-5. And then this past Monday, unfortunately, I was not able to be here, but it was a nice win for Teacher Appreciation Day as Pioneer beat Huron by a score of 17-4. Today is Senior Day, so the seniors will be honored after the game. Upcoming games, they're at Temperance Bedford on the 1st, at Tecumseh on the 6th. They are playing Father Gabriel Rochard again on the 12th. And then on the 14th, they are at Saline. So really coming up to the latter portion of the season. It's amazing how quickly spring sports go. Saline is 3-6 on the season. They started off with a loss to Dearborn Divine Child back on March 18th. That was 15-3. They lost to Dexter 11-4 back on the 20th of March. 21st of March, they lost to Holt 15-6. They lost to DeWitt 10-6 back on the 11th of April. They beat Skyline on the 17th of April, 6-2. They beat Huron at 10-5. That on the 20th. They lost to Temperance Bedford 7-5 on the 22nd. They lost in overtime to Father Gabriel Rochard on the 25th. That was a 7-6 win in overtime. And then they did beat Skyline. That was at home back on the 27th, a 6-3 win there. So starting to get ready here. We have about a minute before the clock counts down, and then we'll throw things over to Steve, our fantastic public address announcer. But before then, let's play just a couple quick messages from the MHSAA. You're watching Pioneer Men's Varsity Lacrosse, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Maybe you've seen the videos of the specialized sports parent support group, or the kid holding a press conference to announce his retirement from sports. The problem is, they'd be really funny if there wasn't a lot of truth there. Multi-sport participation provides a healthier experience and lifestyle for kids and families. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
In the 28th season of Ann Arbor Pioneer Lacrosse. For the past 70 years, Holloway Field has honored the contribution of Blue Hallway to Ann Arbor High School athletics. We thank you for attending today's varsity Southeastern Conference match between the Saline Hornets and your Ann Arbor Pioneers. Tonight we also honor our seniors and their years of dedication to the Pioneer Lacrosse program. We invite all fans to please stay after tonight's match so we can properly honor all of these student athletes and their families. Well, let's introduce today's team rosters. First for the Saline Hornets, number 1, Archie Gates. Number 2, Jacob Bengal. Number 3, Andrew Winters, the senior. Number 6, Jack Nichols. Number 7, Graham Murphy Van Burkham. Number 8, Wyatt Page. Number 9, Corey Dreyer. Number 15, the senior, Seth Eaton. Number 16, Bennett Mullinex. Number 18 or 21, Michael Munson. Number 19, Cooper Budnick. Number 23, Cooper Howes. Number 26, Garrett Mail. Number 27, a senior, Luke Rieger. Number 28, Brecken Harcourt. Number 30, Jack Fates. Number 33, a senior, Michael Ashleman. Number 34, Henry Min. And number 35, also a senior, Jackson Chable. Assistant coaches, Evan Ashleman, Shane Durwa, Brent Diswell. Head coach of the Hornets is Kyle Hibbert. And now introducing your Ann Arbor Pioneers. Number 0, a senior, Jackson Paul McDonald. Number 1, a senior, Captain Nick Houston. Number 2, Will Beaupre. Number 3, a senior, Dakota Ayudi Price. Number 4, a senior, Rocco Mahan. Number 5, a senior, Captain Chet Latch. Number 6, Ryan Edwards. Number 7, a senior, Evo Sarin. Number 8, a senior, Juan Pablo Bautista. Number 9, a senior, Ryan Line. Number 10, Aiden McDonald. Number 11, a senior, Nolan Miller. Number 12, a senior, Joey Porton. Number 13, a senior, Luke Provenzola. Number 14, a senior, Connor Edwards. Number 16, a senior, Jack German. Number 17, Will Wood. Number 19, Ethan Brady. Number 20, Cal Resaver. Number 21, Kyle Brady. Number 22, a senior, Captain Finn Sanders. Number 23, a senior, Ibrahim Omari. Number 24, Owen Joffe. Number 25, Sam Templeton. Number 26, Ben Ganger. Number 29, Henry Farmer. Number 31, a senior, Aiden Donovan. Number 33, a senior, John Garcia. Number 35, Isaac Meadow. Number 44, a senior, Greg Newman. Number 74, a senior, Sam Frost. And number 55, a senior, Kieran Conley. Assistant coaches Sam Arson, Wilson Ayers, and Nate Uhas. The head coach of the Pioneers is John Conley. Before today's match, we'd like to take a moment to show our appreciation for our country. We invite those who are able to please rise and, as a sign of respect, move your hats for the playing of our national anthem. Thank you. We'd like to take a moment to recognize today's referees, Michael Back, John Laudermilk, and Anthony Durside. We recognize these individuals do their best to call the game fairly and accurately. Fans are encouraged to demonstrate positivity and respect for all players, coaches, and officials.
Remember, we can't have the games we love without the officials, so if you think you can do better, reach out to the MHSAA. You can always use more officials. Taking a look at the SEC Red standings. Pioneer atop at 4-0, Bedford 4-1 in second place, Saline in third place at 3-1, Huron in fourth place at 1-4, and Skyline in fifth place at 0-5. On the white division, Dexter is 4-0, Tecumseh 4-1 in second place, Lincoln in third place at 3-2, Chelsea in fourth place at 1-4, and Jackson in fifth place at 0-5, although it says 0-54. So that would be a heck of a losing streak for a single season. That would be a lot of games. But I'm assuming that's 0-5. So Pioneer trying to keep up with the SEC Red lead. This is a big SEC game. So both Bedford and Saline have only one loss in the SEC. So Pioneer really needs to win this game for Senior Day, as well as keep pole position in the SEC Red. Donovan setting up to take the face-off. Budnick on the other side. Pioneer going from right to left here in this opening period. McDonald over to our right, I believe. That ball raked back. Beaupre grabs it up. Beaupre coming down the far hash marks. Beaupre that raked up right at midfield. Beaupre trying to come down the far sideline into the offensive zone. Beaupre trying to get himself around Munson and back over to IUD Price. IUD Price just in the midfield area. Flips back over to Beaupre. Beaupre just inside the far hash marks. Beaupre running down the far hash marks. Flips that over to IUD Price. IUD Price into the midfield area. Over to German. German thought about it. Now steps back just over the restraining line. Over to Latch. Latch trying to get in. Latch with the shot. Big time save there by Harcourt. And that goes out the far sideline. Closest to it is Ganger. Ganger keeps possession for Pioneer. Ganger in there trying to work around Eschliman. Ganger over on the near wing. Goes even with the goal on the near wing. And flips that back over to Latch. Latch comes above the goal line, extended on the near wing. Sidearm shot that just goes high. Run out by Ganger. No, they will say that closest to it was Harcourt. That's going to be Saline ball as they get to Harcourt. Harcourt loses it. That raked up shot. How did Harcourt get back? As Ganger had a point-blank shot and somehow Harcourt got in the way. That ball fed ahead. Coming ahead with it is Eschliman. Eschliman gets into the offensive zone. Eschliman gets it underneath the goal line, extended on the near wing. So that's the number 14. That ball all the way out at the top as Gates has it. Steps into the midfield area. Gates gets that to an oncoming Murphy. Van Berkham now underneath that ball. Mayo has it. Mayo flips it all the way over on the far side to Fate. Fate back over as Eschliman works his way around. That ball loose, trying to work off of it. Sorry, that was House who had it a moment ago. That ball back over to House on the near wing. House gets it back behind as that's... Is that another 26 coming in with it? There's a shot knocked down, loose, picked up, as coming the other direction with it. Here comes Pioneer. Beaupre has it. Beaupre over to Latch. Latch steps back underneath the goal line extended. Latch fires it as German has it in the midfield area. German gets that over to Beaupre. Beaupre over to IUD Price. IUD Price gets over the restraining line, coming outside the far hash marks. IUD Price gets it back behind. As Latch back over to IUD Price. IUD Price just inside the numbers on the far wing. Back to Beaupre in the midfield area. Beaupre gets a running start over the restraining line. Cuts to the right. Moves it over to IUD Price. Low shot and a goal. Pioneer gets on the board first at 9:08. Pioneer goal from IUD Price.
Pioneer goal, number 3, Dakota IUD Price. Assisted by number 2, Will Beaupre, at 9:08 remaining first quarter.
Donovan in to take the face-off versus Budnick. Newman on the far wing over there with Munson over on the near wing. Trying to pull that away. That flipped over to number 18. Don't have on my roster that flip back. Now bringing it ahead. Here comes Budnick. Budnick trying to avoid pressure. Budnick gets it into 14. 14 outside the numbers on the near wing. That's sent back underneath over to Mayo. Mayo feeds it over onto the far wing. And picked back up by Gates. Gates, top of the offensive zone. Flips it over to Murphy Van Berkom. Murphy Van Berkom over on the near wing to 14. 14 gets it back to Mayo underneath the goal line extended. Mayo moves it over on the far wing. That fed right back by Fate up over to Gates. Gates over to Murphy Van Berkom. Murphy Van Berkom trying to come outside the near hash marks for Murphy Van Berkom. Underneath the goal line extended. Back over to Mayo. Mayo going from the near side, flips it all the way over on the far wing. That over to Fate. Fate just above the goal line extended, trying to get between the hash marks. Fate mauled off there by Paul McDonald. Now Gates thought about a shot, moves it all the way back behind the goal line extended to Mayo. Mayo over to Murphy Van Berkom over on the near wing, just above the goal line extended. Back to Mayo directly behind the goal. Over to Fate, just above the goal line extended on the far wing. That ball, that's Fate who has it. Just on the near hash marks, flip back over to Murphy Van Berkom. Now Mayo has it directly on the end line. And move back on the far wing. That was 14 who had it. Now racing over to Murphy Van Berkom. Gets it back underneath the Mayo. Mayo directly behind the goal. Mayo coming just even with the goal on the far wing. That's sent back to Gates. Gates, top of the offensive zone. Gates gets a screen from Murphy Van Berkom. Gates over number 14. 14 just above the goal line extended. That flip back behind over to Mayo. Mayo over on the far wing to Murphy Van Berkom. Murphy Van Berkom on the numbers. Murphy Van Berkom trying to work against Lon. Lon walls him off. That's sent back to Mayo just underneath the goal line extended. Top of the offensive zone. Over to Gates just inside the near hash mark. Sidearm shot. That got blocked by Newman. Gates gets it back. Feeds it to Mayo in along the end line. Mayo over onto the far wing. As that's grabbed over 14, trying a low shot. That run out by Saline. They'll keep possession 1-0. Pioneer with the lead. 6:40 left to go here in the first. So whistle, Gates gets it over to Mayo. Mayo directly behind the goal and flipped over onto the far wing. Sent to Fate. Fate right at the restraining line. Over to Gates. Gates on the near hash marks. Gates moves it on the numbers on the near wing. Now they flip back behind to Mayo. Mayo all the way over on the far wing. That to Murphy Van Berkom. Now Gates top of the offensive zone. Gates trying to cut to his right. Gates trying to spin around. Looking for an open lane. Gates with a shot and a goal. Gates puts it in at 6:09. And it's tied up.
6:09 remaining first quarter.
1-1 is our score with 6:09 left to go in the first. German on the near wing. Joined over here by number 18. Over on the far wing is Houston with Munson. And Budnick in to take the face-off with Donovan. Donovan looking to get that raked up high by Budnick. Loose on the ground is German trying to get to it. Coming away with it is Houston. Houston moves it ahead on a bounce. Here comes German. German racing outside the near hash marks. German into the offensive zone. Gets it over to Latch. Latch even with the goal on the near wing. Latch now heads towards the top of the offensive zone. Gets it to German. German steps into the midfield area. Substitutions coming on. Beaupre comes in for Pioneer. German even on the restraining line, flips it back to Beaupre. Beaupre just inside the near hash marks. Beaupre gets it back over to Ayudi Price. Ayudi Price over to German. German now gets between the hash marks. German cuts down the far hash marks into the offensive zone. German stops, trying to flip it over as a shot by Latch that just goes wide. Battle for it in along the end line. That's going to stay Pioneer ball. There's big time battle back there. Ganger had it as Eshelman was battling him on the end line. Latch will get things started for Pioneer. Latch goes over on the far wing. Waits for the whistle. 5:15 left to go here in the first. 1-1 is our score. Now Latch going behind the goal from the far side to the near side. Latch over to Beaupre, just outside the near hash marks. Iudi Price, top of the offensive zone. Over to German. Over on the far wing, Ganger sends it back behind to Latch. Latch sends it in front to Beaupre. Now top the offensive zone to Iudi Price. Over to Miller on a hop that gets stolen by Budnick. Budnick heading the other direction. Budnick skies it up high, gets it over to Munson. Munson coming down the hash marks over midfield. Munson into the offensive zone. 14 trying to get it on a hop, but that raked up by Munson and out of bounds. That is Pioneer ball. 4:40 left to go here in the first as Pioneer brings it ahead. Right over midfield is Beaupre. Beaupre into the offensive zone. Beaupre now moves it back to Iudi Price. Iudi Price steps over the restraining line, back over to Beaupre on the far hash marks. Beaupre back to Iudi Price. Over on the near wing. Shot in German with the score! So Jack German puts it in, and Pioneer goes up 2-0.
Pioneer goal, number 16, Jack German. Assisted by number 3, Dakota Iudi Price. At 4:18 remaining, first quarter.
Donovan again in to take the draw. Lon on the near wing, along with number 18. I think, or is that 16? That might be Malinik's 16. The 18 and the 16 are tough to tell with Saline's jerseys. That picked up by Budnick. Budnick in the offensive zone. Trying to get it over to Fate, but that's stolen away. Coming ahead with it is Conley. Conley down the numbers on the far wing. Conley over midfield. Conley rumbling ahead into the offensive zone. Conley racing through with the long pole, but that raked up back over there by Harcourt. Harcourt steps back over on the near wing with it. Harcourt fires it ahead. That rolls over, raked up by Latch. Latch into the offensive zone. Latch coming down even with the goal on the near wing. Latch goes just underneath the goal line extended, waiting for everyone to come in. That fired over onto the far wing to Iudi Price. Iudi Price gets it over to German in the midfield area. German back over to Iudi Price coming down the far hash marks. That's sent back behind, and that's going to be Saline's ball just off the tip of the cross. Out of bounds to Saline with 3:20 left to go. Now Harcourt has it in the rain here. Harcourt coming between the hash marks over his own restraining line into the midfield area. Harcourt working his way ahead as he comes to midfield. As that knocked away, trying to get to it, the ball loose. Raked up back over there by Min, but taken as here comes German down the far numbers. German down the far sideline into the offensive zone. Pioneer with the ball. That's in over to Ganger. Ganger back behind the goal. Coming in along the end line from the far side to the near side. Over to Latch. Latch sends it on the near wing to Lon. Lon back into the midfield area for Iudi Price. Iudi Price waits for substitutions to come in. Lon comes off. Beaupre comes in. So we still have, it is just kind of spitting rain here. It's a light misting of it. Latch spins, trying to get over the goal line extended. Latch thought about passing it, coming in, shot, and a goal! Latch puts it in for his first goal of the game at 2:15, and Pioneer goes up
Goal number 5,
3-1.
Latch. At 2:15 remaining in the first quarter.
Ball set for the face-off. Jofi on the near wing for Pioneer with number 18. Over on the far wing, it's Houston with number 31. Ball trying to get to it. That's grabbed over onto the near wing by number 18. Number 18 for Saline. coming outside the numbers, trying to get into the offensive zone. Knocked down by Houston. Houston runs the other direction over midfield. Houston outside the numbers on the near wing. Houston into the offensive zone. Houston flips it over to Latch. Latch goes underneath the goal line extended. Over to Ganger. Ganger on that far wing. Back to Latch. In along the end line. Latch. Over to watch him is Min. Latch goes over the goal line extended on the far wing. Latch flips it over top of the offensive zone. Over as that's Beaupre with it. Beaupre cuts down the far hash marks. Beaupre with the shot. That goes just wide. Closest to it is Ganger. Pioneer keeps possession. Ganger flips it back over to Latch. Latch trying to cut on the far side of the goal. Latch above the goal line extended on the far wing. Latch gets it over to Beaupre between the hash marks. Beaupre. Now Stutter steps down the far hash marks. Beaupre spins with it. Trying to work around. 31. There's a shot by Miller. That deflects off. Latch closest to it. Pioneer retains possession with 1:06 left to go here in the first. 3-1. Pioneer with the lead. Latch over to Ganger. Ganger sends it back top of the offensive zone to Beaupre on a hop. Beaupre over to Iudi Price. Iudi Price has it just over the midfield area. Iudi Price cuts to his right down the far hash marks. Iudi Price gets it back over to Ganger underneath the goal line extended. Over to Latch on the near wing. Latch over the goal line extended. Latch with a low shot. That deflects out. Ganger keeps it. 37 seconds left to go. Pioneer with possession. Ganger in along the end line. Over to Latch directly behind the goal. Latch gets a screen from Ganger. Latch over the goal line extended. Latch low shot as that one goes wide. Ganger gets it. He runs it out closest to it. That maintains Pioneer possession. If it's on a shot, closest to it maintains possession. If it's a pass, it goes alternative possession. Now Iudi Price spins with it, floats it over to Beaupre. Beaupre sidearm shot. That one again deflected wide. Latch closest to it. 12 seconds left to go here in the first. Pioneer, if they want to get a goal out of this possession, is going to have a sense of urgency as Latch trying to get above the goal line extended. Double team there. Latch flips it. Now Iudi Price with a shot and Harcourt with another save. Latch gets it, and that will do it for the first. At the end of one, it is Pioneer 3 and Saline 1. So let's take a moment. Let's talk about the wonderful sponsors of Pioneer Men's Lacrosse. That includes sponsors. Platinum sponsors include Gago Specialty Eye Institute, Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Ganger Dermatology, Gold Star Mortgage and Financial Group, Great Shaber Dentistry, Great Lakes Leadership and Mentoring, Capnick Insurance, Legacy Oral and Facial Surgery Center, Mirlo Real Estate Partners, Ron's Garage and Venue. Gold sponsors includes Adaptive Building Solutions, Allergy and Immunology Associates of Ann Arbor, Anderson Paint, Ann Arbor Made, Ariel Hurwitz Green Real Estate, Buffalo Wild Wings, Bank of Ann Arbor, DiRenzo Dental Care, Dr. Steve Travel, First Martin, Jen Rosenberg Consulting, Lake Forest Golf Club, Linda Forrester Real Estate, PLG, the Blue Jays, Stadium Hardware, Ufer & Company, and Washtenaw Promise. Silver sponsors include Coach N4, DK Creative, Relax Station, Underground Printing, and York. Thank you to all the wonderful sponsors for their support of Pioneer Lacrosse. Please support those who support the team. Lots of folks out here with umbrellas. Good crowd for senior night. It is spring, so it's hard to find a dry evening during Michigan Springs, but that's okay. Game time temperature was 51 degrees, cloudy with misting rain coming down, but just proves how much tougher the athletes are than I am, as I'm nice and comfy in the press box. Now Pioneer going from left to right as McDonald goes over to the left. Harcourt running down to the right. Donovan set to take the draw. Newman on the near wing for Pioneer. Beaupre on the far wing. Now 31 comes over on the near wing for Saline. Ball set. Munson on the far wing for Saline. Raked up by Beaupre. Beaupre over midfield. Beaupre coming down the hash marks. Now just outside the hash marks into the offensive zone. Beaupre, that knocked down, raked up over on the near wing by Ganger. Ganger gets it over to Latch. Latch over on that far wing as there's a shot and a goal. As German gets the goal, although he's hobbled a little bit coming. Was it a goal? I believe it was.
Pioneer goal number 16, Jack German. Assisted by 5, Jet Latch.
So at 11:40,
The first quarter.
German from Latch. So hopefully Jack's all right as he goes off with a little limp. But Pioneer has the 4-1 lead. That is going to be Saline ball on a technical issue. I thought they pointed Saline's way, but Donovan has it. So that shows you what I know. Waiting for the whistle. Donovan right at the blockades. Ayudi Price comes in. So does Beaupre. There's the whistle. Donovan gets it over to Ayudi Price. He goes off on a Fogo. Now Ayudi Price over the restraining line just outside the numbers on the near wing. Gets it back over to Ganger. Ganger back behind the goal over to Latch. Latch on the far wing. Latch trying to get it over to Miller. Miller with a shot and a save by Harcourt. Harcourt has it. That was a heck of a save by Harcourt. He's made a couple good ones despite being down by 3. Harcourt just to his own restraining line, gets into the midfield area. Harcourt thought about it now. Looking for a place to go. Harcourt launches it down onto the far wing as that goes out of bounds. That is going to be Pioneer ball as looking for House, and that just out of House's reach. So Kyle Brady gets it over to Beaupre. Beaupre starts off back in his own defensive zone, coming down the numbers on the far wing. Beaupre cuts between the hash marks. Beaupre right over the blockades. Beaupre coming down into the offensive zone. Steps over the restraining line on the numbers, slips it back into the midfield area for Ayudi Price. Ayudi Price back over to Beaupre right at the restraining line on the near wing. Beaupre now flips it over to Miller between the hash marks. That slips just off the tip of his cross, out of bounds. And that will be Saline's ball as Gates has it in his own defensive zone. Gates trying to cut down the far hash mark. Swim move, Gates. Between the hash marks, Gates floats it ahead. That grab by Munson. Munson down the near hash marks. Now over to Fate. Fate, top of the offensive zone. That flipped right back over to Gates. Gates just in the midfield area waiting for substitutions to come in as Murphy Van Berkom comes in. Murphy Van Berkom sends it over on the far wing. That raked up by 14 back to Murphy Van Berkom in the midfield area. Gates just over the restraining line, just outside the near hash marks. Gates going out signals. Gets it over on the near wing to Fate. Fate sends it back behind over to Mayo. Mayo going from the near side to the far side. Mayo. And sent back, top of the offensive zone, over to Murphy Van Berkom. Murphy Van Berkom between the hash marks. Murphy Van Berkom spins with it. Murphy Van Berkom moves it over. Shot by Gates. That goes just wide. McDonald with the good save. That's going to stay Saline ball as Fate has it in along the end line. Whistle. As they're going to have Fate come over on the near sideline. Could get things going. 9:27 left to go before halftime. 4-1 Pioneer with the lead. So Fate just outside the numbers on the near wing. Fate sends it top of the offensive zone over to Gates. Gates between the hash marks. Gates gets it over to Murphy Van Berkom. Murphy Van Berkom gets it back behind. Mail over on the near wing to House. House sends it top of the offensive zone over to Gates. Gates between the hash marks over to Murphy Van Berkom. Low shot. That goes wide. Closest to it, Saline. They maintain possession as Mayo has it. Underneath the goal unextended on the near wing. Mayo Over to Fate, just over the goal line, extended. Top in offensive zone, over to Gates. Gates back over. There's a shot and a save by McDonald. Big blast by House, and McDonald able to grab it and get possession for Pioneer. McDonald feeds it. Iudi Price just over midfield. Iudi Price coming down the near sideline. Iudi Price into the offensive zone for Pioneer. Iudi Price, even with the goal, now flips that back behind over to Latch. Latch directly behind the goal and along the end line. Latch now comes over on the far wing. Latch gets it on a hop back to German. Good to see Jack's all right. German feeds it into the offensive zone to Miller. Now German fires it over to Latch. Latch just over the goal line extended. Latch heads to the top of the offensive zone. Latch gets it over. Shot and a goal by German. That is his third goal of the game for German. 8:10 left to go here in the second.
Pioneer goal, number 16. Number 3, Jack.
Pioneer goal, number 16, Jack German. His third of the game. Assisted by number 5, Jet Lack. With 8 minutes, 10 seconds remaining, second quarter.
Budnick in to take the face-off versus Donovan. Trying to get to it. That raked up. Here comes Budnick. Budnick has it knocked away. Loose. Still trying to rake it up. That on the near hash marks. Battle for it. Donovan gets it up. That popped up high in the air. And coming down into the offensive zone is Latch. Latch pops up, keeps the ball. Latch loses a glove, as that's dangerous with all those sticks around. Whistle blown as Min goes over. He'll take a knee. That looks like that was a tripping call, looks like. So Pioneer will be man up.
Doing penalty number 34, Henry Min, 1 minute for tripping.
So Ganger has the ball on the near sideline. German flips it over. Now Iudi Price over to Beaupre, gets it to Latch. Latch trying to cut inside. Latch with a shot. That's a save by Harcourt. Harcourt steps back 5-1. Pioneer with the lead. That ball sent, tipped by German. Trying to get to it is Grieshaber. That goes out the far sideline. That's going to be Saline ball. I think. No, they're going to say Pioneer ball. Beaupre with it. Apparently I can't read hand signals today. Beaupre goes down the numbers on the far wing. Beaupre into the offensive zone. Beaupre flips it back behind to Latch. Latch going from the far side to the near side. Latch with 7:10 left to go before halftime. Top of the offensive zone. Sidearm shot by Iudi Price. That run out by Latch. Closest to it. Pioneer maintains possession as they have the 5-1 lead. Latch over on the far wing, sends it top of the offensive zone to German. German sidearm shot and a goal. Jack German's on fire with his 4th goal of the game at 6:57.
Pioneer goal by number 16, Jack German. His 4th of the game. With 6:57 remaining in the second quarter.
Awesome job. 6:57 left to go here before halftime. 6-1 Pioneer with the lead. Face off, trying to get to it is Donovan. That raked up by Munson. Munson heads over midfield. Munson cuts down outside the far hash marks. Munson on the far numbers. Munson trying to get into the offensive zone. Munson racing down towards the goal line, extended. That ball tipped out of his cross, but that is going to be, I believe, a timeout called.
Saline.
So Saline takes the timeout. We'll take it with them. Let's play a little bit of the MHSA.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
6:38 left to go here before halftime. 6-1, Pioneer with the lead here on senior night, as the senior celebration will be right after the game. So please stick around to watch the senior celebration. Again, good crowd here despite the weather. Appreciate everyone braving the moist, cool weather out here. That ball back behind. Saline sends it top of the offensive zone to Gates. Gates now over onto the far wing to Murphy Van Berkom. Murphy Van Berkom sends it back behind over to Mayo. Mayo over on the near wing, trying to get to that tipped away from House, trying to keep it in. House trying to rake it up. House top of the offensive zone, back into the midfield area. Houston trying to provide pressure on him. Murphy Van Berkom coming down the far hash marks. Lon trying to send him wide. Murphy Van Berkom outside the numbers on the far wing. That ball knocked away is out of bounds. Pioneer ball. Great defensive pressure by Lon to force that turnover. That ball over to McDonald. McDonald launches it ahead. That grab. Racing ahead with it is Lon. Lon comes over onto the near wing. That off the tip of the cross to Paul McDonald. He's into the offensive zone. Paul McDonald goes underneath the goal line extended. Paul McDonald switches shoulders with it, pops it up over to Ganger. Ganger underneath the goal line extended with 5:30 left to go before halftime. Ganger sends it top of the offensive zone. Sidearm shot. That got blocked in front. Raked up by Ayudi Price. Ayudi Price back in the midfield area. Saline with aggressive defense. Budnick trying to get it away. Coming over, Ayudi Price with a sidearm shot. Ganger runs it out. That's going to stay Pioneer ball. 5:13 left to go here in the second. Ganger gets it back over to Latch. Latch just underneath the goal line extended on the near wing. Latch trying to get around Min. Goes over the goal line extended on the near wing. Latch bounce pass trying to move it over to Wood. I'm going to say that's a shot and just got away from Latch. So Wood has it on the far sideline. Wood closest to it. Wood sends it over to Ayudi Price on the far wing. Ayudi Price trying to get around Budnick back into the midfield area. Ayudi Price coming from the far wing and between the hash marks, cutting just inside the far hash marks, slips it out in front of Miller. Miller trying to spin himself free. And back over on the far wing is that sent by Wood back into the midfield area to Ayudi Price. Ayudi Price. It's a running start down the far hash marks. Walled off there, flips that back over. Now over underneath the near wing is Ganger. That is going to be a illegal procedure, as that'll be Saline's ball with 4:23 left to go. So that ball coming down the far wing. Min gets it over to Munson. Munson with the shot and a great save by McDonald. McDonald quickly the other direction. Here comes Pioneer over midfield. That's sent ahead over to Ganger. Ganger over. Trying to get it to Miller, wouldn't settle down, but Latch picks it up back underneath the goal line extended on the far wing. Latch now sends it back top of the offensive zone over to German. German back into the midfield area over to Beaupre. Beaupre sidestepping, gets a running start. Beaupre comes down the near hash marks. Beaupre, swim move, trying to work himself free. Beaupre, sidearm shot that just goes high. Latch closest to it. Pioneer maintains possession with 3:39 left to go before halftime. Latch working against Min. Over the goal line extended on the far wing. Latch over to Miller, who puts it in. Miller from Latch, and that makes it 7-1 and at 3:32.
Pioneer goal, number 11, Nolan Miller. Assisted by number 5, Jet Latch. At 3:32 remaining in the second quarter.
Murphy Van Berkom over on the near wing with Newman. Donovan taking the draw versus 31, who I don't have on my roster. So that could be another timeout for Saline, as it's 7-1. Pioneer has a 6-goal run going here. Saline wants to talk things over with 3:32 before halftime. Let's play a few messages from the MHSAA.
Why do high school sports really exist? For 99% of the participants, it's the biggest stage they will ever play on, and it provides the most educational value, teaching sportsmanship, ethics, integrity, hard work, and teamwork. It's about playing with local friends against local rivals and creating lifetime relationships. They build community spirit, and they're worthy of your continued support. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As we are back to action here, getting ready for the face-off. With 3:32 left to go. That's Saline's second timeout of the half. So number 32 for 31 versus number 31. On the face-off, Donovan trying to win it versus 31 from Saline. Still battling. That ball loose. And over towards the Saline offensive zone, raked up by Munson. Munson sends it over to 14. And a big-time save by McDonald. He has been great. Both keepers great this game, but McDonald, a couple big saves, keeping it a 7-1 Pioneer lead. And over to Paul McDonald. Paul McDonald outside the numbers on the near wing. That fed ahead, picked up on a bounce by Latch. Latch into the offensive zone. Latch goes underneath the goal and extended on the near wing. Latch in along the end line from the near side, stops right back behind the goal. Latch moves it over on the far wing. As that sent back by Provenzola. Back over to Beaupre. Beaupre right at the restraining line. Beaupre, swim move. Between the hash marks, Beaupre trying to get in. He's walled off, flips it back, top of the offensive zone. With it is Miller. Miller gets a little room to work in the midfield area. Miller, running start, down the near hash marks. Miller spins with it, trying to get between the hash marks. Miller over to Beaupre, shot there. Closest to it is Latch. Pioneer runs it out. They maintain possession with 2:13 left to go here before halftime. Latch over, shot. That deflects all the way out. Closest to it, Iudi Price. So that deflected right back towards the Pioneer bench with 2:06 left to go. Iudi Price has it on the far sideline, top of the offensive zone. Iudi Price working against Ishliman. Iudi Price, even with the goal on the far wing. Now Iudi Price trying to work his way around number 31, trying to get between the hash marks, sidearm shot. As there is a flag, closest to it, Pioneer. 1:48 left to go. As number 31 for Saline goes over to take a knee. So Pioneer with possession, top of the offensive zone to Iudi Price. Iudi Price, sidearm shot.
31, Saline for cross-checking.
So cross-check is the call that puts Pioneer man up. So 1 minute infraction, 1:36 left to go. Latch, even with the goal on the far wing, sends it back top of the offensive zone to Iudi Price. Iudi Price, and sent to Miller, knocked away. Here comes Saline, is trying to come down with it was Bengal. And Paul pulled away by Miller. Miller sends it top of the offensive zone. Iudi Price with the sidearm shot. Beautiful save out there by Harcourt. He goes down, almost does the splits. Fires that ahead. As that's grabbed over midfield by Bengal, picked up as Budnick with a shot and racing out. Nick McDonald was closest to it. That's going to be Pioneer ball. Racing ahead with it over midfield. Now Beaupre has it in the offensive zone, just inside the numbers. Beaupre gets it top of the offensive zone. And raked up by Latch, directly behind the goal. Latch goes over the goal line, extended on the near wing. Latch shot. That's saved by Harcourt. Harcourt has made it difficult on Latch. It's been some of the longer shots that Pioneer scored on. That ball ahead to Min. Min floats it high. That off the tip of the cross. That's going to go out. Valiant attempt back over there, diving. Number 14 trying to keep it in. That's Pioneer's ball with 20 seconds left to go before halftime, up 7-1. Iody Price on the far side of his own defensive zone, waiting for the whistle. That ball fired ahead. Beaupre outside the numbers on the far wing. Beaupre into the offensive zone. Beaupre sends it over to Latch. Latch trying to work his way around the crease. Latch. Swim move coming between. Latch with the shot. That got blocked down. 2 seconds, 1 second. And that will do it. Halftime. Pioneer leads at half, 7-1.
First half, scores Pioneer 7, Hornets 1.
We do want to thank all the wonderful, amazing sponsors of Pioneer Men's Lacrosse. So I'm trying to knock my glasses off here as we take a look. So Platinum sponsors includes Gago's Specialty Eye Institute, Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Ganger Dermatology, Gold Star Mortgage and Financial Group, Grieshaber Dentistry, Great Lakes Leadership and Mentoring, Kapnick Insurance, Legacy Oral and Facial Surgery Center, Mirlo Real Estate Partners, Ron's Garage and Venue. Gold sponsors includes Adaptive Building Solutions, Allergy and Immunology Associates of Ann Arbor, Anderson Paint, Ann Arbor Made, Ariel Hurlwitz Green Real Estate Agent, Buffalo Wild Wings, Bank of Ann Arbor, DiRenzo Dental Care, Dr. Steve Travel, First Martin, Jen Rosenberg Consulting, Lake Forest Golf Club, Linda Forrester Real Estate, PLG Blue Jays, Stadium Hardware, Ufer and Company, Watch Not Promise. Silver sponsors includes Coach and Forum, DK Creative, Relax Station, Underground Printing, and York. Again, thank you to all the sponsors of Pioneer Lacrosse. Thank you so much. Please help support those who help support the team. We'll play some messages from the MHSAA. We will be back in about 8.5 minutes with the second half. You're watching Pioneer Men's Varsity Lacrosse, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Maybe you've seen the videos of the specialized sports parent support group, or the kid holding a press conference to announce his retirement from sports. The problem is, they'd be really funny if there wasn't a lot of truth there. Multi-sport participation provides a healthier experience and lifestyle for kids and families. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Sportsmanship is still relevant in school sports. Good sportsmanship should be a given at our games. It's one of the primary reasons we have school sports to begin with, to help today's young people become tomorrow's community leaders. You can learn more about sportsmanship and download a full kit of sportsmanship ideas from the MHSAA website at mhsaa.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Why do high school sports really exist? For 99% of the participants, it's the biggest stage they will ever play on, and it provides the most educational value, teaching sportsmanship, ethics, integrity, hard work, and teamwork. It's about playing with local friends against local rivals and creating lifetime relationships. They build community spirit, and they're worthy of your continued support. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
If you're a recent high school or college graduate and still have a passion for the games you played in school, still remember the thrill of putting on the uniform, why don't you help us out and become a registered high school game official? Get out there and give something back to our kids. Visit the MHSA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Integrity, commitment, love of the game. These traits describe the people high school sporting events can't start without. The officials. They're out there every day giving back to our kids. Let's give them the respect they deserve. Better yet, why don't you become one? Visit the MHSAA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
You're hearing it. The message is getting through to parents. Multi-sport athletes get injured less. Multi-sport athletes become better in their primary sport in the long run. And even though it's not why we play our games, multi-sport athletes are now getting recruited more than specialized athletes. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
You have to wonder sometimes how folks in the stands, so far removed from the action and who have probably never had any training, actually think they can see the play and apply the rules better than the officials assigned to a game. If you're that good, please register immediately at MHSAA.com. We need more officials on the playing surface and fewer in the stands. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Think of a high school game as a 4-lane highway. Coaches, players, officials, and spectators, each with their own lane. Sportsmanship depends on everyone not crossing over the line. Fans keep it between the lines when they cheer positively for their team. So don't cause an accident. Stay in your lane and let the coaches, players, and officials do their jobs. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Power Ratings will be used this year in soccer, basketball, and boys lacrosse to seed the district tournament in those sports, and you can follow along. Visit your school's page on the MHSAA website to see how your team is faring, and you can look at statewide lists as well. And if you see your team is missing a score, submit it. Learn more about the Michigan Power Rankings at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle, and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Of halftime. Pioneers 7 and Saline 1 on senior night here at Hallway Field. Pioneer going from right to left here in the third quarter. Budnick to take the face-off versus Donovan. Beaupre over on the near wing with Murphy Van Berkom. Ball over, Beaupre rakes it up. Pioneer has possession. Beaupre coming down the numbers on the far wing over midfield. Beaupre coming down the far sideline over the offensive line. Beaupre just outside the numbers, fires it back into midfield area to Ayudi Price. Ayudi Price over to an oncoming German. German sidearm shot. That one goes deflected wide. Closest to it is Latch. Pioneer maintains possession. They have the 7-1 lead. Latch brings it in the end line. Latch now cuts to the far side. Latch gets it over to Miller with a shot. And a goal for Miller from Latch. And at 11:34.
Number 11, Nolan Miller, assisted by Jet Latch, with 11:34 remaining in the third quarter.
That is Miller's second goal, second in a row, assisted by Latch. 11:34 left to go. Now Houston on the far wing, joined over there by Munson. On the near wing is Gates and Lawn. Battle for it as Budnick moves it over. Donovan trying to get to it. Houston goes to rake it up. That over to Lawn. Lawn looking, trying to get around some pressure by Fate. Lawn gets over midfield. Lawn gets around Gates. Lawn heads towards the offensive zone. Gets it over to Latch on the near wing. Latch floats it all the way over to Ganger. Ganger back behind the goal line. Ganger over to Latch on the near wing. Now top of the offensive zone. That rolls over. That's going to be over and back. That is going to be Saline ball. Saline has it. 11:05 left to go here in the third. Gates over the restraining line. Down outside the near hash marks. Gates now spins on the numbers. Sends it back behind over to Mayo. Mayo moves it over on the far wing. As that sent top of the offensive zone over to Murphy Van Berkom. Now here comes Fate coming just outside the near hash marks. Fate trying a swim move. He's walled off there by Beaupre. That ball back over to Gates. Gates trying to spin away. Greenshaver trying to knock that back. Popped up there. Trying to flip it over as Paul McDonald takes it away. Paul McDonald gets it over midfield. That ball raked up back behind by Min. Min has it knocked away out of bounds. believe that's going to be Pioneer ball. I did not catch the signal by the official. Oh, slash there. So it looks like it might be a slash on Grieshaber. So that is going to be Saline possession. So slash. It does indeed appear to be what it is.
Pioneer penalty on number 20, Cal Grieshaber. 1 minute for slashing.
So that ball raked up over on the near wing. Grabbed by Rieger. Rieger, top of the offensive zone on the numbers on the near wing. Sends it to Mail, back behind the goal. Mail over on the far wing. As that's fed by House back into the midfield area, over to Murphy Van Berken. Over to Gates. Gates spitting with it outside the far hash mark. Sidearm shot. Run out by Mail, closest to it, Saline. They maintain possession. Under 10 minutes left to go. Top of the offensive zone, Murphy Van Berken over on the near wing to Fate. Fate just outside the near hash mark, slips it over to Mail. Underneath the goal line, extended Mail. Back to Fate on the near wing. That underhanded shot knocked away by Houston out the near sideline. That is going to stay. Saline ball as Fate has it on the near sideline. That's sent back behind the goal line, extended to Mail. Mail over on the far wing. As that's sent by House back into the midfield area to Murphy Van Berkem. Murphy Van Berkem over to Fate on the near wing. Back behind to Mail. Mail underneath the goal line extended. Back to Fate on the near wing. Underhanded shot grab by McDonald. McDonald quickly ahead to Newman. Newman avoiding pressure over midfield. Newman firing it ahead as that ball grabbed. Is an excellent job by Harcourt. Harcourt gets it over. As that's raked up, trying to come the other direction, has tried to get it to Murphy Van Berkem coming in. Shot by Ganger and in! Ganger has a Pioneer goal at 8:59.
Pioneer goal, number 26, Vane Ganger. Assisted by number 16, Jack German. 8:59 remaining, third quarter.
German gets the assist. He's had a heck of a game. 4 goals and assists, 5-point game for German thus far on senior night. One of the 20 seniors on this team. As Budnick and Donovan taking the face off. Lott rakes it up behind Lott. As knocked down, Saline gets into the offensive zone. House takes a big check. That is going to be a push. Lon limping as he goes off. So Lon makes it over. He is limping something fierce. We hope he's going to be all right as he gets looked at. Fingers crossed. 8:47 left to go here in the third. Saline with it. Fate on the numbers on the near wing. Fate gets it back to Mail. Mail on the far wing, over to House. House sends it back, top of the offensive zone, over to Murphy Van Berken. Murphy Van Berken over to Gates on the near hash marks. Gates sends it back behind to Mail. Mail over onto the far wing at the House. House sends it top of the offensive zone over to Murphy Van Berken. Now Gates has it on the near hash marks at the restraining line. Gates sends it back behind to Mail. Mail behind the goal. Mail over on the far wing to House. House goes above the goal line extended. Back over to Murphy Van Berken. Now Gates has it on the near hash mark. Over the restraining line. Gates trying to come down. Flips it back to Mail. Back behind the goal line extended. That's sent out. Trying to get it to Fate. That ball raked up. Here comes Pioneer the other direction. Over midfield. Rumbling down is Joffy. Joffy gets it over. Now Latch goes underneath the goal line extended on the near wing. Latch for Pioneer. Waits for substitutions to come in. Now he spins, coming over the goal line extended. Sidearm shot that just goes high. Ganger ran it out. 7:34 left to go. Ganger in the far corner with it. Ganger going from the far side to the near side, gets it over to Latch. Latch over the goal line, extended on the near wing. Latch feeds it all the way over. Iudi Price with the sidearm shot. Another big save by Harcourt. If it was not for Harcourt, this would not be as close a game as it is. Coming ahead with it is Gates over midfield. 7:18 left to go. 9-1. Pioneer with the lead. Over to Fade on the near wing. Back top of the offensive zone to Gates. Gates sidearm shot that goes wide. Closest to it, Mail, as he'll start off on the end line. Mail feeds it in. Shot goes over the crossbar by Murphy Van Berkom. That's Pioneer's ball. Conley will rake it up on the end line. Conley brings it ahead, gets it over to Grieshaber. Grieshaber launches it. That ball over midfield, picked up. Here comes Saline the other direction. Between the hash marks is Budnick. Budnick over on the near wing to Fate. That top of the offensive zone. Gates trying to feed it into House. Knocked away. Loose, but that raked up by Gates. Gates takes a check. Ball loose in front as McDonald trying to rake it up. So McDonald with the ball in the crease. McDonald feeds it ahead. That ball rolls over, coming over midfield. Here comes Iudi Price. Iudi Price into the offensive zone. Iudi Price goes even with the goal. Now underneath the goal line extended. Iudi Price gets it over to Latch. Latch in along the end line. Over to Ganger on the far wing. Ganger goes from this far side to the near side underneath the goal line extended. Ganger flips it back over to Latch directly behind the goal. Latch tries the far side. Latch walled off, double team there, tries to get himself between the hash marks, down to a knee, pops back up, bounce shot grabbed by Harcourt. Harcourt has it in his own crease with 5:54 left to go here in the third. Harcourt coming ahead with it as he's to his own defensive restraining line. Harcourt now into the midfield area, launches it ahead. That will roll all the way down and out of bounds. That will be Pioneer ball. Reshaber gets things set back in the Pioneer defensive zone. Ahead to Beaupre. Beaupre just outside the numbers on the near wing. Beaupre over midfield, heading down towards the offensive zone. Beaupre steps over the restraining line. Beaupre cuts down the near hash marks. Beaupre now fires it back into the midfield area over to Iudi Price. Iudi Price over to Ganger, even with the goal. Underneath the goal now. Latch over on the near wing, back to Beaupre, top of the offensive zone. Beaupre flips that back over to Wood. Wood in the midfield area. Wood back over to Beaupre, coming down the near hash marks. Beaupre stutter step, spins, trying to get between the hash marks. Sidearm shot and a goal! Beaupre puts it in.
Number 2, Bill Beaupre.
And at 4:57, Pioneer goal by Beaupre. That is his first of the game. 10-1, Pioneer with the lead. Official gets his shoe tied. No fun if that's loose. Batista over on the near wing, joined by Bengal. I think it's Budnick again versus Donovan for the face-off. Newman over on the far wing with Munson. Battle for Budnick trying to get to it. He rakes it up. Saline with the ball. Budnick on the far hash marks, now on the blockades. Budnick spins with it. Budnick looking for a place to go. Gets that over, bringing it down. And fired ahead, and a whistle. Pioneer ball, I believe that might have been an offside call. So Pioneer has it back in their defensive zone. McDonald rakes it up. McDonald brings it ahead. 4:30 left to go here in the third. Ball ahead. Now racing with it is Conley. Conley feeds it. Coming down the far sideline is Wood. Wood in the offensive zone. That raked up back behind by Min. Min gets it over to Harcourt. Harcourt back in the Saline defensive zone with it. Harcourt comes ahead with it. Harcourt into the midfield area. Harcourt launches it ahead. That grab by Budnick. Budnick into the offensive zone. Gets it over to Fate. Fate coming down the numbers on the near wing. Fate trying to get around Grieshaber. Fate walled off. Loose ball. Raked up. Coming the other direction is German. German down the numbers. Cuts over midfield. German launches it ahead to Latch. Latch comes in with it. Latch fires it and in. Latch with a goal. German set him up. That at 3:42.
Pioneer goal by number 5, Jet Latch.
That is his second goal of the game.
With 3:42 remaining in the third quarter.
11-1 Pioneer with the lead. Timeout called. Saline takes their first of the half and will step away.
Maybe you've seen the videos of the specialized sports parent support group, or the kid holding a press conference to announce his retirement from sports. The problem is, they'd be really funny if there wasn't a lot of truth there. Multi-sport participation provides a healthier experience and lifestyle for kids and families. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
3:42 left to go here in the third. 11-1 Pioneer with a 10-goal lead. That ball, Budnick, that rake back, picked up. Here comes Batista. Batista trying to get it ahead. Now Donovan over to Latch. Latch has it on the near sideline. Latch, he has 2 goals this game. Goes underneath the goal line extended. Latch over to Ganger. Ganger directly behind the goal. Ganger. Now even with the goal back over to Latch. Latch sends it back over to Ganger on the far wing. Ganger goes right back behind, trying to get above the goal, over to Miller. Batista has it, trying to rake it up, still trying to rake it up. That grabbed as back in the offensive zone. Provenziola had it. Now Ayudi Price cuts down the far hash marks. Ayudi Price trying to come in, shot there. As the whistle, I think, was before the goal. So that ball rolls towards midfield, raked up, coming ahead with it is Munson. Munson over midfield. Munson into the offensive zone. Munson floats it back behind, grabbed by House. House gets it over to Fate. Fate over on the far wing to Gates. Gates sends it back into the midfield area as Murphy Van Berkom has it. Gets that to an oncoming Rieger. Rieger into the offensive zone on the near wing. Back behind to Fate. Fate over on the far wing to Gates. Gates even with the goal on the far wing. Gates sends that over to Murphy Van Berkom. Now over on the near wing to Rieger. Rieger gets it over to House even with the goal. House back behind to Fate. Fate trying to come above the goal line, extended on the far wing. Conley trying to wall him off. That's in over to Gates, top of the offensive zone. Gates over to Murphy Van Berkom. Over on the near wing, trying to come in, spinning around his Rieger. Rieger sends it back as House. Over onto the far wing. Is trying to spin with it is Fate. As Pioneers ball, 1:44 left to go here in the third. Conley has his own defensive zone. Conley gets it over to Lon. Lon rakes it up. He looks like he's okay. He was limping earlier, but he's running well now, and we're happy about that. Lon starts off right at midfield, right at the blockades. So delay a game. Fate takes the knee for 30 seconds.
Penalty on number 30, Zach Fate.
Now German.
For delay of game.
He has 5 points today, 4 goals and an assist. He'll start off right at the blockades. With 1:44 left to go, Beaupre here in the third. Beaupre coming in as well. German over the restraining line, fires it over to Ganger. Ganger back over to Latch. Latch sends it over to Beaupre. Top of the offensive zone. Ayudi Price thought about it, now moves it over to German on the far wing. German over to Ganger, just over the goal line extended. Back underneath the Latch. Latch sends it over to Beaupre. Beaupre, that shot just missed the top right-hand corner. Pioneer closest to it. So Latch will start off in along the end line, 1:22 left to go. Latch directly behind the goal, that over to Ayudi Price, and a shot and a goal! Latch to Ayudi Price, that makes it 12-1. With 1:14 left to
Goal
go.
by number 3, Dakota Ayudi Price. His second of the game with 1:14 remaining in the third quarter.
He had the first goal and he has the last goal thus far. If Pioneer scores one more goal, they will have a 12-goal differential and we will have a running clock. Budnick and Donovan again looking to take the face-off, roll back. Lon scoops it up. Lon trying to avoid pressures, gets it back over to Conley. Conley launches it at the Lon. Lon over midfield. Lon over to Latch. Latch into the offensive zone. Latch coming down the numbers. 58 seconds left to go here in the third. Latch underneath the goal line extended. Over to Ganger. Ganger being watched by Ishliman. Back over to Latch on the near wing. Now top of the offensive zone. Lawn thought about it. Lawn shot there. And what a save by Harcourt again. Stealing one away from Pioneer. Despite the score, he has been absolutely fantastic. Harcourt coming into the midfield area. 26 seconds left to go here in the third. Spinning with the ball is Gates. Gates coming down the numbers on the far wing. Newman trying to watch him. That ball back into the offensive zone for Rieger. Rieger between the hash marks. 13 seconds left. Over on the near wing to House. 9 seconds left. Saline if they want to get a shot away. There's a shot by Fate and a goal. And I tempted Fate there and he scored. 4 seconds left here in the third. Saline goal by number 30, Fate.
4 seconds remaining, third quarter.
Donovan versus Budnick in to take the face off. Lon over on the near wing with number 18. Munson on the far wing. And that should do it.
Third quarter, Pioneer 12, Saline 2.
As we head into the third, it's 12-2 Pioneer with the lead over Saline.
Maybe you've seen the videos of the specialized sports parent support group, or the kid holding a press conference to announce his retirement from sports. The problem is, they'd be really funny if there wasn't a lot of truth there. Multi-sport participation provides a healthier experience and lifestyle for kids and families. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Sportsmanship is still relevant in school sports. Good sportsmanship should be a given at our games. It's one of the primary reasons we have school sports to begin with, to help today's young people become tomorrow's community leaders. You can learn more about sportsmanship and download a full kit of sportsmanship ideas from the MHSAA website at mhsaa.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As we head into the fourth, 12-2, Pioneer with the lead here on senior night. A little Macarena going here. Again, we will have senior night right after the game is over, so hang on to the broadcast. We will broadcast senior night here live. You can always watch live or on demand. We do now have a Roku app. If you have a Roku on your TV, either built in or one connected to it, just search for Arbor Broadcasting. You can find our app. Free to use, no sign-in needed. As Donovan trying to get to it, that raked up. Now headed the other direction. Here comes Pioneer down the far sideline into the offensive zone. Latch has it, coming down the numbers. Latch underneath the goal line extended. Latch flips it over to Ganger on the near wing. Ganger over to Lawn. That ball loose. Lawn trying to keep it in bounds, rakes it up in the near corner. Lawn skies it all the way over to Latch. Latch sends it top of the offensive zone. That ball over to Provenzola. Provenzola over on the near wing to Lawn. Lawn just outside the hash marks on the near wing. Steps back into the midfield area. Gets it over to Ganger just underneath the goal line, extended over to Latch on the far wing. Latch cuts directly behind the goal, comes over onto the near wing. Looking to get a screen from Ganger. Latch comes over the goal line, extended, spins with it as he goes down. That is going to be Saline ball, headed the other direction. 11 minutes left to go here in the fourth. That ball ahead, Bengal feeds it, trying to get to Budnick. Budnick into the offensive zone. Budnick skies it down, even with the goal. Low shot, and McDonald knocks it away. But closest to it is House, so House will start things off in the near corner. House, even with the goal, sends it top of the offensive zone to Fate. Fate scored the last goal for Saline, making it 12-2. Gates moves it over to Murphy Van Berken. Murphy Van Berken gets it over to 14, who sends it back behind over to House. House comes over on the near wing, gets it over to Fate on the numbers. Now midfield area, over to Gates. Gates lofts it over on the far hash marks over to Murphy Van Berken. Now 14, even with the goal on the far wing. That lofted to Gates at the restraining line. Gates thought about it. Now sends it back over to 14 on the far wing. 14 sends it right back behind as that's over to House. House on the end line, directly behind the goal. House on the near wing, trying to get above the goal line to extend it. House gets it over to Gates. Gates between the hash marks. Gates trying to work against Houston. Gates trying to work himself free. Ball loose, scraped up by Houston. Houston fires it ahead. That on a hop over midfield. Spinning with it is Min. Min over midfield. Min heads down into the offensive zone for Saline. Min gets it over to Gates. Gates over to Murphy Van Berken. Murphy Van Berken coming down the far hash mark. Shot there. Run out by House. That's going to stay Saline ball. 9:34 left to go here in the fourth. House on the numbers on the near wing, goes over the goal line extended. House gets into the midfield area to Gates. Gates fires it over to number 14. Shot there, saved by McDonald. Saline closest to it on the run out. House, Fate has possession now. Fate on the numbers. Sends it back to Gates, top of the offensive zone. Gates over on the far wing to Rieger. Rieger over to 14. 14 trying to get past. Low shot, knocked down. Headed the other direction. Here comes Pioneer. Racing ahead with it is Houston over midfield. Houston into the offensive zone. Gets it over to Ganger. Ganger on the near wing. Ganger, even with goal on the near wing, gets it back to Latch. Latch directly behind the goal. Latch fades over onto the far wing. And gets it back over to Ganger, even with the goal on the near wing. Ganger sends it top of the offensive zone to Lon. Pass over to Miller. That is got to bounce. That's going to be Saline ball with 8:40 left to go here in the fourth. 12-2 is the score. Pioneer with the lead. Harcourt has it. He comes down the field into the midfield area. Harcourt launches it ahead. That grab by Budnick. Budnick moves it over to Gates. Gates down the numbers on the near wing into the offensive zone. Gates steps back into the midfield area. Gates now over on the near wing. That over to Fate. Fate comes just into the restraining line, into the midfield area, moves it over on the far wing. That ball back over to Fate in the midfield area. Coming down the hash marks on the far wing. Fate trying to cut in. Fate shot. Good save by McDonald. As Frost picks it up, hands it to McDonald. That is Pioneer's ball. So Conley will start it off. Conley moving ahead with it. Conley gets it over to McDonald. McDonald back behind his own cage. McDonald launches it back to Conley. Conley coming ahead down the far hash marks. Conley sends it into the midfield area, over to Provenzola. Provenzola trying to break through into the offensive zone. Provenzola, shot and a goal by Provenzola at 7:39.
At 7:39 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Pioneer gets back to an 11-point lead, 13-2. Pioneer scores one more goal before Saline scores a goal. We'll go to a running clock. Newman on the near wing, joined by Munson. Budnick versus Donovan for the face-off on the far wing. I think that is coming in with it, 31, as that's raked up by Budnick. Budnick has it for Saline. Budnick gets it on a hop over to Munson. Munson just inside the far hash marks. Munson feeds it over to 14. 14 coming down the numbers on the far wing. Gets it back behind to House. House sends it back over to 14. Shot there. As 14 trying to rake it up, battling Garcia. Garcia trying to get to it. It gets it over to McDonald. McDonald in the crease. Gets it ahead. Here comes Bautista. Bautista coming down the numbers on the near wing. Launches that on a hop. Here comes Ganger. Ganger on the numbers. That knocked away. Battle for it. Raking it up is Donovan back behind the goal. Donovan over on the far wing. Gets it over. As that brought over by Saran. Saran on the far wing. Back to Latch. Over to Ganger on the near wing. Back over to Latch directly behind the goal. Latch. Now cuts to the far wing. Latch over the goal line extended. Latch gets it to Miller with a shot. Harcourt with a save. Point blank shot by Miller, and Harcourt again saves another one. The head out of bounds. Pioneer ball with 6:20 left to go. Saran on the near wing. Saran gets it over to Ganger. Ganger goes underneath the goal line extended on the near wing. Ganger going from the near wing to the far wing, back behind the goal. Ganger over the goal line, extended on the far wing. Ganger flips it between the hash marks to Miller. Miller. Ball just gets past him. Miller rakes it up. Miller coming down the numbers on the near wing. Miller. Now underneath the goal line, extended, gets it over to Latch. Latch directly behind the goal. Latch out in front. Shot by Ganger. That's stopped by Harcourt. Latch gets it back underneath the goal line on that far wing. 5:42 left to go here in the fourth, 13-2. Pioneer with the lead. Latch comes over on the near wing, sends it out. Shot there. Harcourt with another save. Again, a point blank save. Was that Miller? It was Miller again. Harcourt's robbed Miller of at least 3 goals. Harcourt comes out of his crease, brings it ahead. Harcourt launches it ahead as Latch trying to get to it, picked up by 31. He's coming down between the hash marks into the offensive zone. 31 down the far wing. That ball loose, trying to rake it up. McDonald has it. Back behind his crease, McDonald launches it ahead. That grab. Now, Omari with it. Loose, raked up by Frost. Frost trying to bring it ahead. Frost over midfield. Frost cuts to his right. Frost trying to get ahead with it. That grab by Gates. Gates heads the other direction. 4:45 left to go here in the fourth. Gates into the offensive zone. Flips it over to 31 on the near wing. 31 with a shot. And there's a goal by Saline. Number 31 puts it in at 4:38.
Leading goal number 31. You do not have a name for him. Assisted by number 1, Archie Gates. 4:38 remaining in the fourth quarter. #31 is Levi Achobi in the goal.
Levi Achobi is number 31. And ball raked back, looking to get to it is Houston, still loose. Trying to rake it up is Budnick. Now grab coming down the far wing is Houston. Houston into the offensive zone. Houston trying to avoid pressure back there by Ishleman. In the midfield area is German. German moves it over on the near wing to Fortin. Fortin gets it back behind over to Ganger. Ganger over to Latch. Latch goes over the goal line extended. Sidearm shot and a goal. Latch puts it in. That is his third of the game at 4:04 or 4:07.
Goal by number 5, Jet Lack. His third of the game with 4:07 remaining in the third quarter.
14-3, back to an 11-point lead.
Templeton with the assist, number 25.
So Templeton with the assist. There's the face-off. As looking to get Donovan, raked up by Budnick, knocked away. Still loose, trying to grab it, Donovan. Taking it away, Budnick into the offensive zone for Saline. Shot there. Knocked away by McDonald. House races it out. Pioneer ball as Frost has it in the back field. Gets it over to Garcia. Garcia on the numbers, rakes it up. Garcia racing ahead through the midfield area. Garcia lofts it ahead over to Lon. Lon into the offensive zone. Lon gets it over to Ganger. Ganger underneath the goal line, extended on the near wing. 3:33 left to go here in the fourth. That ball all the way over on the far wing. Sent back top of the offensive zone. As that's moved over by Fortin over to Lon. Lon with it on a hop. Lon trying to get past traffic. Lon, ball loose, and pulled it back away. And fired by Bengal. And coming ahead with it is Harcourt. Harcourt. He calmly brings it ahead. 14-3, Pioneer with the lead at the Min. Min into the offensive zone. That fired as picked up by McDonald in the crease. McDonald moves it ahead to Lon. Lon rakes it up. Lon coming down the numbers on the near wing. Lon over midfield into the offensive zone. Lon takes the check, gets it back. Lon rakes it up on the near sideline, lofts it over. Here comes Ganger. Ganger gets it over to Latch. Latch directly behind the goal. Latch. 2:25 left to go. Latch gets over the goal line extended. Latch sidearm shot. Closest to it, Ganger. That will be Pioneer ball with 2:21 left to go here. And senior celebration after this. Latch back behind the goal. Latch over on that far wing, sends it on the far sideline. Back to Latch. Latch over to Ganger underneath the goal line on the near wing. Back to Latch underneath the goal line, extended on the far wing. Latch feeds it over onto the far wing as that's Ethan Brady. Raked up back in the midfield area. Trying to come ahead with it. Saran gets it over to Fortin. Fortin between the hash marks. Fortin over to Ethan Brady. Ethan Brady gets it, spinning with it. Latch trying to get between the hash marks. Latch walled off. Latch sidearm shot. And is going to stay Pioneer ball with 1:40 left to go. Ganger has it in the near corner. Now Latch back behind the goal, fires it over on the far wing as Ethan Brady gets it back into the midfield area to Fortin. Fortin. 1:27 left to go. Fortin Sends it down the near wing to Ganger. Ganger underneath the goal line extended. Over to Latch. Latch fires it out in front. Shot by Miller. That goes just wide. Closest to it, Latch. Pioneer maintains possession with 1:15 left to go. Latch. Over on the near wing to Fortin. Fortin. Top the offensive zone. Fires that just out of the reach of Connor Edwards. That goes out of bounds. That will be Saline ball with 1:01 left to go. 14-3. Pioneer with the lead. 1 minute left. Ball bounces. Picked up by Bengal. Bengal gets it over. Bringing it ahead. Number 21. Sent back into the midfield area. 21 launches it over to Murphy Van Berken. Murphy Van Berkem gets it over to 14 on the far wing. That's sent directly back behind to House. House being watched by Omari. And sent over to 14 on the numbers on the far wing. Goes top of the offensive zone. 14 flips that over to Murphy Van Berkem. Murphy Van Berkem with a shot. Saved by McDonald. 18 seconds left to go. Pioneer brings it ahead. Here comes Newman. Newman into the offensive zone as Latch over, loose, 9 seconds left. Ganger gets it back behind to Miller. Miller over to Latch. 3, 2, 1. Pioneer wins by a score of 14-3.
Back in the game, final score, Pioneer 14, Saline 3.
So Pioneer gives Saline their second loss. They'll stay in third in the SEC Red. Bedford has 1 win in front of them. They have 1 loss. So that will be a big game. I believe Pioneer is playing Bedford away on the 1st. So that is going to be on the 1st, 7 p.m. away at Temperance Bedford. That will be a big game. If Pioneer can win that one, they will have 1 more game versus Saline, but they will probably win the SEC Red at that point in time. So they're having the post-game handshake, best tradition in all sports. We will hang out here. So for my cameraman, James Wiseman, my name is Mark Wiseman. We'll play a little bit of the messages from the MHSAA, and then we will have the senior celebration, and we'll turn it over to Steve for that.
Sportsmanship is still relevant in school sports. Good sportsmanship should be a given at our games. It's one of the primary reasons we have school sports to begin with, to help today's young people become tomorrow's community leaders. You can learn more about sportsmanship and download a full kit of sportsmanship ideas from the MHSAA website at mhsaa.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Why do high school sports really exist? For 99% of the participants, it's the biggest stage they will ever play on, and it provides the most educational value, teaching sportsmanship, ethics, integrity, hard work, and teamwork. It's about playing with local friends against local rivals and creating lifetime relationships. They build community spirit, and they're worthy of your continued support. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
If you're a recent high school or college graduate and still have a passion for the games you played in school, still remember the thrill of putting on the uniform, why don't you help us out and become a registered high school game official? Get out there and give something back to our kids. Visit the MHSA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Integrity, commitment, love of the game. These traits describe the people high school sporting events can't start without. The officials. They're out there every day giving back to our kids. Let's give them the respect they deserve. Better yet, why don't you become one? Visit the MHSAA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
You're hearing it. The message is getting through to parents. Multi-sport athletes get injured less. Multi-sport athletes become better in their primary sport in the long run. And even though it's not why we play our games, multi-sport athletes are now getting recruited more than specialized athletes. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
You have to wonder sometimes how folks in the stands, so far removed from the action and who have probably never had any training, actually think they can see the play and apply the rules better than the officials assigned to a game. If you're that good, please register immediately at MHSAA.com. We need more officials on the playing surface and fewer in the stands. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As everyone's lined up, all the seniors lined up in the left end zone right in front of the locker rooms with their families. The non-senior players creating two lines, and they'll hold their, a lot of the times they'll hold the crosses up to create a little bit of an arch there for folks to walk through. We will turn things over to our fantastic public address announcer here momentarily as soon as they are ready to go down on the field.
Pioneer Lacrosse fans, introducing our Master of Ceremonies, Nick Receiver.
Let's hear it for all our seniors on their final win at Pioneer Stadium. Our first player for the night is number 0, Jackson Paul McDonald, with his mom, Deborah, and dad, Kevin. Jackson's favorite memory at Pioneer was to be on the back of the bus with Wits. Our next player is number 1, Nick Houston, with his mom, Michelle, and his dad, Larry. His favorite memory from Pioneer Lacrosse was Jet hitting Jack German during Thunderdome. Our next player is number 3, Dakota Ayudi Price, with his mom Marie, his stepdad Bobby, his sisters Ayana and Isha, and his brother Thane. His favorite memory from Pioneer was Aaron Puno's speech at the Saline game. A shout out to number 4, Rocco Mahone, who is not here. I believe he's busy at a hacky sack tournament. Next is number 5, Jet Latch. His mother, Laura, and father, Steve. His favorite memory is scoring the game winner against Saline in double overtime. Next is number 7, Ivo Saran, and his mom, Carmen, and dad, Eric. His favorite memory is also beating Saline in double overtime last year. Next is number 8, Juan Pablo Bautista, with his parents Olivia and Omar, and his little sisters. And his favorite memory is playing against Huron and catching his first pass. Next up is number 9, Ryan Lon, with his mother Jackie, his father Steve, and his brother Brandon. His favorite memory is beating Northville sophomore year, 2-1. Next up is number 11, Nolan Miller. His mom, Ayumi, dad, Phil, and brother, Finn. Once again, his favorite Pioneer memory is beating Saline in double overtime. Now we have number 12, Joey Thornton, with his dad, Jason, mom, Holly, and sister, Charla. His favorite memory is going undefeated with JV his freshman year. Next up is number 13, Luke Provenziola, with his father Anthony and his mother January. His favorite memory from Pioneer Lacrosse is cracking jokes with his friends on the sideline junior year. Next up is number 14, Connor Edwards, with his brother Ryan, his mother Laura, and his father Sean. And his favorite Pioneer memory is every time Pete got mad. Now we have number 16, Jack German, with his mother Carol and his dad Bob. His favorite memory was scoring the game-winning goal in overtime freshman year against Saline. Now we have number 22, Finn Sanders, with his dad Nate and his mom Aimee. His favorite memory was going undefeated his JV season and then hitting up Buffalo Wild Wings. Now we have number 23, Ibrahim Omari, with his mom Emma and younger brother Idris. His favorite memory from Pioneer Lacrosse is throwing a lacrosse ball through a window. Next up, number 31, Aiden Donovan, with his mother Rachel and father Ryan. His favorite memory are the bus rides home from Grosse Pointe South. Now we have number 33, Sean Garcia, his dad Robert, mom Jessica, and sister Reese. His favorite memory is beating Salem in the playoffs. Next we have number 44, Craig Newman, with Mother Krista, Father Ross, Sister Lauren. Craig's favorite memory is the sideline sellies against Saline in the playoffs 2 years ago. Now we have number 74, Sam Frost, with his mom Nessa, his dad James, his girlfriend Molly, his younger brother Gerald, and his older one George. His favorite memory is playing Duck, Duck, Goose before sixes at practice. And last but not least, we have number 55, who used to be 99, Kieran Conley, with his dad, coach to all of us, John Conley. Kieran's favorite memory is never losing to Skyline, Huron, or Saline.
Fantastic senior celebration there. We wish all of the seniors amazing time with their next adventure, whatever they are going to do next. It's always a bittersweet day to see these seniors, especially in spring sports, when you know you won't get to see them play another sport as a pioneer. We all know they'll all go on to do great things. As Conley gets a picture taken, now they'll bring all the seniors together for one big picture. As Conley gets gives his dad a big hug. Fantastic senior class that is now 7-2 on the season, leaders in the SEC Red. If they can take care of Bedford, I believe that will secure the SEC Red title, if I can do some basic math. So I want to thank all of you for watching, all of the parents for all their long hours taking their kids to practice and all the support they give them. Thank you to the seniors for all their time here at Pioneer, all their hard work wearing the purple and white. Thank you to you for watching wherever you are at. So we will bring this to a close. Thank you very much, my camera person, James Wiseman. My name is Mark Wiseman. We'll be back on Tuesday next week. I have to work late at the day job tomorrow, so we cannot do the women's lacrosse game tomorrow. I really wanted to do that, but work comes first. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. We'll see you after the week.